There we are. What's up?
Is
Hey. So here we are once
I'm Myki.
again. I'm your host, Myki Angeline. This is the Bad Filipino podcast, episode 10. I don't know what I'm doing to myself.
You're working hard. That's what you're doing.
Like week 3, relaunching my podcast, episode 10. And I've got 2 more after you this week.
Wow. I am getting you on the snap right now. I was
Get me
filming
on
that
the
awesome intro of yours, so I'm
Thank you.
getting you on snap.
Yeah, and so I'm so glad I've got my awesome guest here, James David, who this is really you and I. This is our first time actually seeing each other and talking.
Yes, I've been following you for a long time.
I've been following you for a long time. I want to say 4 years, right? Since 2016, yeah.
Long time.
So
long time.
yeah, it's so crazy. And then I thought, well, I fell out of the game for a minute with the podcast and came back with it. And I believe kind of the same thing with you. You kind of like took a hiatus from music, came back to it.
Yes.
So we're both kind of back in the game, and here we are. So
yeah, the rebirth, man. It's a good thing.
I like that, the rebirth. So true. So then now let's give our the viewers and listeners a little insight on who James David is. The artist. Let's start with the artist and the producer.
Okay. Yeah. So God, I've had so many names. I feel like I really have like 1,000,001 aliases. I'm trying to be hard to find, Yeah, so I started making music when I was 18. That's when I began composing music. And back then I went by the name James Boy.
James Boy.
I had a friend in high school. He was a couple years older than him. Shout out to Caesar Wick. When I first arrived in Arcata, California from New York City, playing basketball with the freshmen, and he's like a junior, and he was like, James Boy, come play with us. So the name just stuck, and I went with that as a stage name for a long time. So that's how the whole James Boy thing came about.
And what style of music were you doing then at your tender age of 18?
The same thing, R&B, and hip hop, are my, my love, my passions. I grew up to the Motown and all of that good stuff back in the day. Mom played good music in the house.
So then, okay, because you're from the East Coast, where in the East Coast were you from?
I was from Queens, New York.
Dang.
So, all over basically, but Jamaica Avenue for most of my life.
Okay.
Most of my young life anyway.
So then I would say that's where the roots were for you your love for music.
Oh yeah.
And your style and your R&B and your hip hop, right?
I came out of the room.
Yeah. Because when you tell people you're in Arcata, what the hell?
You got it, Arcata.
Yeah, people like, and he raps? Like, they're like, what's he rap about? Redwoods and hummingbirds? No, he's not from there. He's there now.
No, definitely. I like to say, born and raised in New York, but seasoned, by
there it is. I like that.
Arcata, California. I love this place.
No, where you are is absolutely beautiful, actually. So then, how long have you been in Arcata?
Well,
not that long?
Off and on, but I moved here in 1992.
Okay.
I've been in Northern California for...
Oh, no, that is long. Never mind.
A long time. 27 years.
Yeah.
So a really, really long time. But I love it. I just came back to Arcata about a year ago. So.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So then, okay, and then you were doing music up until... Because you took a break.
Yes. For a long time. So.
Well, define long.
Let's see. I put out my debut album in 2003.
Okay.
And I had been doing music from 18. Let's see. I graduated from high school in 1995 up until like 2005. So about 10 years, I was touring all over the nation with a hip hop group by the name of Potluck.
Potluck.
And then about 2000. Let's see. Yeah, 2003, 2004. I took a break, man. The doctor said, James, you have a malignant tumor behind the right femur of your leg. And it was cancerous.
Oh,
so I kind of put things in perspective for me. And I decided I wanted to slow down, not live out of suitcase or a duffel bag anymore. And
Oh,
Jada,
wow.
my firstborn, she was born in 2003. So I just was like, I want to be your pops. I want to be around. I want to slow down a little bit. So,
So how old were you when you were given that diagnosis?
26, 27.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I was a.
See that organic reaction?
It's gonna be you. You hear about it, right?
Yeah.
More now than ever. It's blows my mind, but you hear about it, and then one day,
and clearly you've survived and thrived. But at the time, yes, when you did discover it at 26, where were you in your mind at that moment? I mean, was it your future flashing? Was the possibility of not having a future
yes, because I was so gung ho about the music. That was my dream. I just wanted to make music all the time, and I just, like I said earlier, you never think it's gonna be you, and then it is you, and so you come to a crossroads. I remember literally sitting on my couch, and the mother of my children was probably in her bedroom sleeping, and Jada was on the couch with me, taking a little nap, and I sat up and put my hands to my face, just crying, just like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And I think a week or two later, it just kind of hit me that I was like, you know what? I'm going to be a teacher. So that was that.
Oh, okay.
Wanting to be.
So that's what birthed that career. Okay.
Yeah. And then I ended up becoming a special education teacher, which is one of the best times of my life.
Wow.
That's one of those careers that chose me.
Okay.
I didn't choose it originally. It chose me, and I'm grateful, and I'm so happy to have been a part of that population, those kids and those parents, and most of the staff are dear to me.
I love it. Most of the staff.
Yeah, there's always a few that are a little funky, but that was a blessing in itself. And when you're a teacher, man, you got to be a rock star every day.
You do.
8 o'clock,
especially with special needs students. Oh, what was the age range of your students?
I was mainly high school.
Okay.
I got my credential was I could work with anyone, basically up until the age of 22. Anyone in the special education population. But it was mainly high school. It was where a lot of my experience was gathered, and I loved it. It was awesome.
My goodness. So, okay, then how long were you a teacher?
Oh man, like 7 years, 8 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
So quite the transition from being on stage, wowing an audience, to being behind a desk,
right,
just shaping, molding minds, and you're still motivating. You're just doing it on 2 different platforms.
Yes. I've never been afraid to try something new. That kind of, when I was told that I had a cancerous tumor behind my right femur, that definitely sent me off somewhere different. But I've always kind of been that person to be like, oh well, we got to do something different now. Let's go. And then you try something different, and it takes you where that takes you, and then something else happens, and you go off on another.
Oh my goodness! So this is while you're in Arcata.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Dang.
Yeah.
My mind is just blown because I didn't even realize that was the transition that got you into teaching. Like, I remember reading about you as a teacher, but not what happened right before then. So, and I take it you've been okay since, as far as that. You've been in remission. You haven't.
Yes, that you go back for a few years and you get checkups, and I've been blessed. I was
oh my gosh,
one of the lucky ones. Didn't have to be chemo. They were able to pull out the tumor. Basically, it sat on like the femur. It almost looked like little pieces of popcorn just hanging out on top of the bone. And so instead of like going there and risking poking around and trying to remove it and risking spreading, they just basically took out 2/3 of the bone underneath it.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And then
I'm sure that felt great.
Through some
I mean, not like when they did it, but I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's it was a dude. They put in they threw in some growth hormone and bone from a cadaver.
Right. Oh my gosh.
And
bone from a cadaver. Well, and you're in your mid to late 20s though, so your recovery is pretty swift and great. I'm guessing you're pretty healthy. So
yeah.
I mean,
I was doing all right. I was living that road life.
Yeah.
So I was young and I had that on my side. Healthy.
Right. Well, healthy enough. You know what I mean? Like if they had to do that now.
Yes. Oh yeah, that would be tough. I mean, well, I just had a surgery not too long ago, but that was not for a cancerous tumor.
Right.
I got my
because you broke something.
Yes.
You broke your leg. I'm not laughing at the fact that you broke your leg. That I realize that the timing of that laugh was horrible.
Yeah, I broke it. Yeah.
He broke his leg. Ha ha. No, you had the surgery for that. So then how long were you not walking? Wow. Okay. And that was what, a couple years back last year?
It was last year.
Oh my gosh.
I think at the end of June in 2019. Yeah, I was at work and I was working with adults with disabilities and out with my client, riding scooters, just enjoying our Friday activity. And we were going down this hill and I looked behind me and I saw he was coming in hot. Coming in real hot. Long story short, crashed into me. I flew in the air, hit the ground, snapped my fib and tib.
Ooh.
Ouch. Yeah, got a little another metal rod in there.
$6 million man.
In there. A couple screws. Yeah, $1 million man over here.
But see, even before that, though, you had released some music. That's how you and I connected because you were putting out some music. And you also were blogging, right? Positively James.
Stuff
I love that name, by the way, Positively James.
Thank you. Another name given to me by a good friend. Yeah, shout out to Chad Sovereign. I literally asked him what he thought my name should be, and he hit me up, I think, an hour later. And he was like, Positively James. I was like, boom. There we go.
The best names are the ones given. Bad Filipino was given to me.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So talk to me about your name. I know this is your podcast, but I got to know.
That's all good. Yeah. Well, I mean, because...
Bad Filipino?
Because I'm bad at being Filipino.
I love it.
I'm so bad. I don't speak my dialect. I have no wooden spoons. I say this every episode. Like I don't have any wooden spoons on the wall. Although I'm honestly considering putting up wooden spoons just for the show. But then I wouldn't be bad. Yeah. I mean, I can cook some of the dishes, and even after going vegan, which has been almost 2 years now for me, surprisingly, I learned that Filipino culture, a lot of it already is vegan and vegetarian. Yeah. So it's really not hard, and they've come such a long way with how you season like cauliflower and tofu and other things to where it resembles meat if you want. So. Because when it comes down to it, it's really not the meat; it's the way you season the meat. So if you just season something in place, you won't know it's missing. Tastes good.
I'm eating
it, you won't know it's missing. And so, but I learned a couple of dishes. But like I mean, listen to me talk. You couldn't tell I'm Filipino. But then I was raised Hawaiian culture over Filipino culture.
Love it.
So right, and then when I put the whole pillow talk with Myki and Jolene is because people like the sound of my voice over the air.
Yes.
And it's soothing for some people. Right?
Thank you. Questions so you keep talking.
See, it's not like people say you have this jazz voice, you have this radio voice, and then we usually, we'll go into different avenues of the things we talk about. So it's almost like it's pillow talk time. This is pillow talk time with Myki and Jolene.
Pillow talk time.
Yeah, for real. So yeah, but it's I think another time I mentioned how. Okay, so we remember MySpace, don't we? We're old enough, yeah.
Of course.
And because I'll never forget the transition of, I was on break for a few months before I went from MySpace to Facebook. And the first shock I had was that I noticed everyone used their real names. And I thought, what are y'all doing? Because if you remember, for those that are watching or listening, when you had MySpace, you made up a name, whatever. You didn't use your real name. And so I ended up, the name that I used in MySpace was the name that was, ironically, it was given to me in the body of a work email.
Okay.
Yeah, because if that happened today, people would have been fired. But I get this email from a female coworker, and she starts it off with, "Hey there, my freaky little cutie." And I was like, that's a really good nickname. So then my Hotmail address ended up being Freaky Little Cutie.
Freaky Little Cutie.
And the way I spelled it was freaky and then LIL and then Q and then T.
Like it.
And then it's like big L, little I, big L. Where, you know, you play with the. So then that became my Hotmail account, and then that became my MySpace name.
Nice.
I know, it given names. Now she didn't mean anything sexual. She just meant because my energy was all over the place because I was the hyper one in the office.
You're a freak. You're like,
Yeah, and I get the work done, and I'm vivacious at what I do, and so it wasn't. In no way was it a sexual connotation, but this was also 2003. Like we're talking nowadays, you could not get away with the word freaky anywhere in a work email without someone going cancel culture USA, right? So, but these are still the best names when they're given to you. So you've got James Boy, you've got Positively James. Are you still blogging, by the way?
No, I'm not. I've been thinking about starting it again because I feel like what I'm doing with the music and how my music just always has a positive message anyway, that can definitely mix up with a little bit of the writing and maybe giving people a little backstory on like where the song came from.
Yeah.
You know, so I've been thinking about starting it again, but right now it just feels really good to be back at it making music, you know?
Yeah. So I mean, because I love the stuff you had first put out. In fact, a couple of the videos, I think you included your children.
Yes. I'm trying to remember which one. Wouldn't Change a Thing. Yeah, that was a few years ago.
Yeah.
That was a cool one. And that was basically, and that kind of Positively James presented that one. But that was me missing the music, you know? I was like, you know what, let me bring this into it because it works. So I might end up doing that again. We'll see.
Right on.
But
so then,
and that's how I met you, so that was cool.
I know, it's a small world, how that works. And then, so touching on that, because you went on your hiatus, because you were a dad.
Yes.
What was it like trying to balance that whole being a parent versus the music career, or being parent, and you know the blogging, because you're doing things. I mean, and even as a special needs instructor, because that can be pretty taxing. That takes a lot out of you, teaching in general, and then to have them be special needs, that's an extra amount of
no doubt
zap. You know,
no doubt. Yeah. You know, it's funny. I think a lot of us try to find balance in our lives, and kudos to the people that find absolute balance. But I think just life in general is just one big dance, and you just kind of do what's in front of you, and you do what's important. As far as the music is concerned, you know, Jada was born. She won that battle. You know, I knew I wanted to be a full-time dad, just there all the time. You know, unfortunately, my dad, you know, rest in peace, you know, to my pops, but, you know, he wasn't around when I was growing up. And so in that sense, it was a blessing because I knew what kind of dad I didn't want to be.
Yeah.
And nothing against him. I definitely, I understand the struggles of just becoming a man. I'm, you know, still struggling, you know, but, so Jada won that battle, you know, I wanted to be around for my kids. So that, as far as balancing that, you know, she won that battle. I chose a different career. But then, you know, as you start to get into a groove, you find that it's important to not give up on the things that, you know, make your heart tick, and music, and being a role model is always something that made my heart tick. And so you just try your best, you know. Of course, for me, you know, family is always number one. I think knowing your values and being aware, you know, aligning your actions with where, you know, what your values are, is key. So family's just always been up there. It still is. You know, I take time even still now from the music. I'll leave the studio for 10 days and just go be with my kids. And it's usually just about them, to the point where friends are like, "Where you at?" And I won't hit them back until I get back. And maybe that's not a balance, you know, for everybody, but that's my balance, you know, because most people get to see their kids. I don't want to say most people. I don't want to put people in the box, but a lot of people get to see their kids on a regular basis, or even if they're sharing custody, you know, 1 week on, 1 week off. Like for me, it's once a month, and it's usually for a week. And so when I'm with them.
Oh, yes. Good for you, though. I mean, no, that's good. I think that's important. That's setting healthy boundaries. That's putting the priorities where they need to be. And then your children are feeling very, very important because they know they've seen dad as the musician, and they've seen dad as the blogger, and so they know that when dad shuts that down and he's 110% with us, I mean, that's the best way, I think, to teach what love, unconditional love, attention, respect for space and time.
Indeed. And I think it's important for our kids to see that we're human and we don't always have the answers. So we're not always going to do things
big time.
Right. I mean, I think I have a line in one of the songs that I wrote that says, I could give you advice until I'm blue in the face, but what you probably learn the most is probably from my mistakes.
Oh, boom! That is a good line. Wait, which song is that one in?
So it's not out yet, but it will be.
I'm about to say, because I don't remember hearing that in the last one that you just put out, which we'll touch on in a second.
Yeah,
dude, you are great lyrically, because you write your music, don't you? Because you're so good. Yes, I mean, you're a blogger as well.
Yeah. So I always have. Shout out to Miss Kavanaugh, high school teacher.
Hey. Right? The teachers are the ones.
Stoke that fire. You don't know you're good until somebody who you admire tells you that you're good at it. And then you're like, damn, I must be kind of good at this.
Look at that.
The more you hear that, you know how it is.
Oh, totally. In fact, you had my brain going with when we talked about how, as parents, teaching the kids that we make the mistakes. And I'm telling you, I mean, you and I, we're kind of apart in age, but I think you might be from the same generation where when we grew up, whichever be a parent, an elder, somebody, because for me, it was way before the internet. So anything an adult told me that I trusted, especially my mom was my Google. Let's just put it that way. It's like anything I needed to know or learn, I knew I could ask my mom.
Is still my Google. I hear you.
See, yeah, and anytime, even through my 30s, I'm calling my mom. Mom, I have a question. And then she'd give me the answer. So nowadays with like your children, because my daughter's going to be 25 next month. So, but having children and knowing that this is what you're competing with sometimes, depending on what the subject is and what they want to know. And then here comes that balance, right? As an adult and a parent.
That's a whole nother world.
It is. It really is. And my heart goes out to those that have littles. That are, because I have friends and they'll post about stuff. In fact, I would love to bring this up real quick. So, because the whole thing with kids going back into the online school versus going back to school, which has been quite the topic because COVID is still rampant, right? And so one of my friends, she's got 2 young boys, and well, I say 2 young, I believe they're 9 and 11. I can't keep track because she blogs greatly about them, and it's refreshing to read, but we've been friends online for 6 years. So I think they're 9 and 11 or 10 and 9 and 11. Anyhow, one of them, I can't remember which one it was, she said he actually called a teacher out, not like to the teacher, but saying to his mother about the way they were teaching in the curriculum. Now, I'm not sure if she didn't divulge if this was like an online course, and then when the course was over, he has the talk, or he actually went to school, but he says to his mom that they were trying to teach about history, and it was John Sutter. And he's saying to his mother, they were trying to say that he had these friends, but Mom, that's a lie. They weren't friends. They were slaves. Why would they say that, Mom?
Wow.
I'm like, your son asked you why the teacher isn't teaching history correctly. This is the generation we're in.
Right. I'm glad
because you cannot, well, this is the thing. What I caught in that, besides all the other great things, was you really, it's going to be very, very hard from this point out with the kids and the internet and how woke everything is right now to sugarcoat, lie about, pat away actual history.
Yes.
Why would you, even if you don't want to talk about slavery, why would you call them friends? Because eventually they're going to learn of how these people were treated. And if that's how you're supposed to treat friends, like, yeah, I thought that was my eyes just went, and I'm reading a post, Right. So, I mean, how old are your children?
Jada is going to be 17 here.
Oh man!
It's today. Today is Tuesday, right? She'll be 17 on Thursday.
Oh my gosh! 2 more days. 17.
Yeah, 17 years old. Don't blink. Well, you have kids.
I do. Well, I have one, and she'll be 25. But I just can't remember your children.
Like, I know. She's driving. She's in her senior year.
Dang.
The whole college. Thinking about college, and it blows my mind. And then Marina. My youngest is 13.
Okay.
So she just went into the 8th grade.
Oh.
And yes, so I just got back from Portland, but I went up there to visit them and kind of help get them set up for school and just kind of be there for that transition. And I gotta say, I'm really impressed with these kids, and not just my own, but just from hearing stories and seeing posts from some of my other friends, I'm really impressed with how these kids are rolling with the punches. Because like even for Jada, like it's her senior year, like this sucks,
It really sucks.
and she's rolling with it. There was some tears, in the beginning, but she was like, all right, this is the reality of it, and got on board and just making the best of it. So I'm impressed with the kids.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed with the teachers. Maybe not so much the teachers you were just talking about, but who am I to judge? But also, just the teachers and how they're able, because it's a different ball game, and it's not just teaching curriculum now, but it's dealing with the technological snafus that occur as well, and you know how that is. That's
And
frustrating.
you're talking about home the in school, the homeschooling online.
Yeah, the learning online.
Yes.
I'm
Well,
amazed
yeah,
how these teachers are making it work, and doing the best
they
that
can.
you know.
When that all first rolled out in spring when it was closing up, I have many friends who are teachers, and also either they're teachers or they're parents or they're both. And that whole rollout was such a hard transition because everyone was thrown into it last minute. They didn't have a choice, right? Because we had this pandemic. And so that's where you learned the struggle is. You have the children who don't have internet, or if they do, they don't have a reliable, a PC, a laptop, the things they need.
Right.
And so what's happening with so now that a lot of the schools, and I know some of the schools went back to in class and they're doing the spacing, but a lot of them still did the online. They've had the summer to figure out, well, how are we going to do this? Are we going to supply the laptops? Are we going to supply free Wi-Fi? What are we going to do? Because you and I are making sure our connections are great for this podcast.
Right.
Now multiply it by a class of 30.
Yes.
And that's just one class. So when you think about that in the perspective of it, hats off to the teachers and hats off to the students. Definitely parents, but to the students.
And the parents too.
Yeah.
Like, some of them are having to, change up the game and work from home and help teach a lot more too, which I think is good for parents because then they kind of realize, oh, damn, teachers work really hard. You know what I'm saying? And it sucks and it's overwhelming, where the world is at right now. But I think, not being naive to the struggle, but I think there's a lot of blessings and a lot of good that are coming out of this too, and that's always a beautiful thing. Right? It's like,
positively, James. Speaking of which, we're going to transition into your latest song because your lyrics kind of encompass that. Breathe.
Yes. Take a minute.
Take a minute. I shared a little excerpt on the little promo video I made for you.
That video was awesome, by the way.
Thank you.
You did a really good job.
Apps on the phone, Apps on the phone. Talk about learning to adapt to being inside, right? And so that song is beautiful. All your songs are beautiful, but I felt... we got some hellos.
I got a hello.
Rachel says, hola, primo.
My cousin, New York City. What's up, Rachel?
Hey. And then I don't know if you know Lonnie. Lonnie said hello as well.
Yes, good friend Lonnie. What's up,
nice. Lonnie? And then my friend Jaleesa said hey earlier. What's up, going into that song, and you could share some of the lyrics, please do. You want to spit some a cappella, feel free. So what did inspire that specifically?
Well, honestly, I wrote that song pre-COVID. We talked earlier about, I snapped my leg. And along with that, had gotten out of I was going through a breakup. So you got, broken leg,
broken heart,
broken spirit all together, literally like showed up at my parents' door with nothing but the courage to just start over. And this was last year, probably July of last year, and came back home and started making music again. I was just kind of called to it, so just, brushing off the dust a little bit. And then next thing I knew, I was like 20 songs deep and it was starting to sound good. And I was producing a bunch more, doing my own mixing, just really nerding out on it. But so I was living the COVID life pre-COVID, where I was just healing.
You didn't have a choice, yeah.
Myself, getting back to the things, that matter, I think. And then I think a lot of us pre-COVID, and I speak for myself, but I think a lot of us too, I don't know how everyone felt, but I felt like I was just going and running around in circles and wasn't really filling up my own cup and feeding the soul. And music has always been a way for me to kind of to do that and kind of come back to myself. And I just started seeing the benefits of it, of just, basic self-love things like eating healthy and exercising and going for walks and spending time in nature and meditating and journaling, like all these things that could save you thousands of dollars in therapy, and I'm not dogging therapy, but I'm just saying that's life's therapy. If you want to indulge, I mean, I'm living proof that it works wonders. And I just kind of came to a point where it's just like, God, this is all I needed. I just needed a second to just like catch my breath, to just breathe and to just take off all the hats and just be, and then COVID happened and you could see everything that kind of, society, everything going on with, the social injustices, everything just inflamed. Right.
Yeah.
And Breathe wasn't even going to be the first song I was going to release. It was going to be a different song, but I saw where the climate was globally. And I realized, this is it. This is the song I have to release first because this just touches. And I'm beside myself with how much love the song has received. And I think it just serves as a reminder for people to just kind of like to come back to what matters, and for me, it's family. And for me, it's me, just coming back to myself and getting centered, because it could, the world pulls on you, and it's like, oh, you're doing this and you're doing that and you're all over the place and you got all these people on your list and you realize, damn, I'm not even on my top 5, Like,
oh, what a way to look at that. Yeah. It's bad when you're not even on your own top 5.
Yeah. Long story short, that's where the inspiration came from. I just had the time to myself to do exactly that. To just be for a minute,
Wow.
To just breathe for a minute. And so, and I released the song and, that's what one of the cool things about making a song, what blows my mind, Myki, is, it all starts, it starts with the roots and my entire life, of course, and my experiences. But, that idea, was brought about in this room, and then it starts on a keyboard and then it evolves into a beat and then a story. And then lo and behold, you got a song and then you release that song and it's like, it's not yours anymore. It's for whatever the world wants to do with it. And so now I'm on the other side of things and seeing what it's doing out in the world and what it's meaning to people. And then look at this, like you hit me up. You're like, hey, I'd love to do a podcast with you. Like it just evolves. And that's probably one of my favorite things about making music. And to me, this is like the closest thing, to what being a superhero is, And so, long story short.
Yeah. I love how, sometimes a song picks the time,
Yeah, it just all came.
Sometimes that happens.
Just everything just fit and I kind of just got out of the way and just respected the flow. And sometimes when we force things,
See, that's the big one, getting out of your own way.
Yes.
Too many of us don't.
Huge, yeah.
And
huge.
So then you have more music than you've got coming out. Like,
yes,
like EP amounts of music. You're dropping like a jewel at a time. Like what you doing?
Like
what you doing?
I have a lot of songs in the vault right now. To be straight up with you,
of course you do.
What I'm gonna do is because I haven't been out in a while, and I'm grateful for all the fans that I do have. And I want to get some new ones, and I have, which has been great. So what I'm doing right now is I think I'm going to release these next 3 or 4 songs just as singles, and then most likely release a project around Christmas time. I'm not sure if it's going to be an EP or an album worth,
okay.
But I have easily maybe an album and a half worth of songs.
Look at that
right now, and so we'll just and that's something because the game has changed. Like back then, when I was making music, in my 20s, like you made an album and you released that, and that was hot for however long, and then it was it died down, and then you're in the studio making another album. Where this, I feel like it's cool. Now everything, I'm not making a CD. Now everything is streams, right?
Yes.
So, but now
And you
it's
can do single at a time.
yeah, you can release
The platforms are there now. They weren't there back then.
Get it going.
Yeah.
And you can drop an album, because I'm still believing in the album, because it's a story of what you're doing, and that specific, for me, I like concept albums. I like albums that have like there's themes to it, and so it seems
I see that with you. I see that with you.
Yeah, just life in general. Artists are weird, man. We have to go and do our weird little thing and reflect on life, and then come back and share it with the world, and that's how we make sense out of life,
Yeah.
So grateful for.
Good for you. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I got another one coming next month for sure.
Hey.
And a new video. So.
No, okay. So where are you dropping all this though? Do you have a website? Are you doing it on Spotify?
Yes,
What are you?
Website, no website yet. I'm dropping. It's basically on all streaming platforms. So,
okay.
You're gonna find it on your Spotify. You're gonna find it on your iTunes, your Apple Music, your Amazon Music, just everywhere, basically. Even names.
But where do they go to find it? Do they go your Instagram? Do they go to your Facebook?
I'm always posting tons of content on Instagram. I'm always posting tons of content on Facebook as well. So I'm always gonna let people know where, but they can find my music on Spotify. Just go on James David. Right now, I just got that one song, James David Breathe.
Yes, I'm gonna follow you right now.
I have a catalog of my old songs under James Boy. So I'm trying to
Boy.
And so I got an album on there called Raps and Ballads, and so I'm trying to figure out a way on how to get my old stuff with my new stuff, so people have that. People tend to like to go back and listen to your old stuff when you come out with new stuff. Just trying to figure out how to do that business-wise. Just waiting on a call in regards to that. So
look at you. And as you were talking, I was there he is.
Who's that?
I am following him now. I'm following you now on Spotify. I love it. I love being able to do that.
Yay. No, thank
you. Absolutely. Because when you talk about back in the day, even because you were releasing music in the early, what was it? Early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s?
Yeah.
Because that was on the brink of people, not on the brink, but CDs were starting to get popular. But even before that, because when it was vinyl, creating an entire album was so arduous and time. So that's why you did an entire album. And even with CDs.
That's how you can become an artist. It all started with, I was a DJ.
See?
You want to hear my DJ name?
Oh my God. What was your DJ name?
It's not as cool as the Bad Filipino.
Do it.
It was DJ Peekaboo. So my boys called me Peek. Just here he is on the scene, So.
Oh my gosh, DJ Peekaboo.
On the ones and twos, and then we used to. I told you I used to make music with my homies, my best friends, former hip hop group, by the name of Potluck, and they were my best friends, and we all started out as DJs, freestyling in a room. So that was my initial. That wasn't my initial hip hop element. My initial element that I was subjected to, as far as hip hop was concerned, was breakdancing, because I tell you, I grew up in Queens, so breakdancing was a huge thing. So if you can imagine,
were you a breakdancer?
I was a breakdancer. I was. If you can imagine,
you were popping and locking and spinning on your head and
literally
dancing on cardboard.
You remember the PJs that you zipped from the toes all the way to the top, the onesie, right? The original onesie, and they have the little plastic feet on the bottom. My cousins, my older cousins, I looked up to them. They were superstars to me. They were wearing bomber jackets and popping and locking and just, spinning on their backs and doing flares. And so I wanted to do that too. So you can imagine they'd be up late doing their thing. And here I am, supposed to be in my sleep, supposed to be sleeping. And I'd come out and I'd watch them, and I'd be out in my little onesie, just, doing my thing. So that was my initial, okay, hip hop is cool. You know what I'm saying? So
how funny. Yeah, I grew up with that. I'm older than you. So yes. I grew up with that for sure.
Did you do some breakdancing?
No, I just grew up knowing that it existed. No, I wasn't. I didn't come into my own as a dancer until actually out of high school. I was a late bloomer when it came to learning that I actually had a natural ability to dance and even sing.
Nice.
So it was art.
Wait, I didn't know you sing. You sing?
Not like professionally, but I mean, I was in a cover band for like a minute.
Oh,
but
dude, singer.
you know, it's just one of those things where karaoke saved my life because I didn't even know.
Yeah.
And I come from a singing background. I come from musical background on both sides of my family. But in high school, for me, it was sports and it was art. So I did a lot of drawing and sketching of animals and friends and things, and then sports was like my thing. And so I just didn't allow for that space. Like I would watch family sing and play instruments, but I never entertained the thought that I could do it. But I saw that. I remember thinking that was the coolest thing ever. Kids were doing it in high school.
Cool. It's still cool. And the level that these kids are at. And then, you know.
But what's crazy is they still do it today. Because when hip hop and breakdancing came out, big mainstream people were like, that's never going to last.
Oh, yeah.
That's not real art. What are you doing? I mean, they weren't categories for any of the, you know, American Music Awards for the Grammys. No. And then fast forward 40 plus years later.
So, yeah.
And it's people that do everything. Like, I mean, even 20 years into it, every ad, you couldn't get away from a radio ad. You couldn't get away from a TV ad. And people were breaking and rapping. Okay. Yeah. But it's not going to last. Think, so, yeah. So, wait. I mean, what was the hardest trick you learned?
Let's see. Before I left the breakdancing game, I think I was spinning on my head.
Snap.
I was spinning on my head.
Wow.
And I could do a mean backspin. I could still do a backspin. The footwork is not as tight. You know, my legs are.
Well, take it easy. You had surgery.
Right.
I need you to handle on that one,
My brain is still like, ooh, I got this. But then my body's like, what are you doing, dude?
No, you don't.
You don't got to like that.
No, you don't.
Whoa. Spinning on my head. Like, I would do crazy stuff. Like, spin on my head on the concrete. Like,
okay, that's crazy.
Yeah, that probably explains it all.
That explains a lot, actually, James. Okay, so then... Okay, let's speed up a little bit. In this last year with the COVID, name something that changed dramatically in your life, whatever it is, because of what happened with COVID. That where now you either look at it different, or you approach something different, or you just changed an avenue in your life completely and got rid of something.
Yeah, see, it's kind of tough because I was kind of doing it pre-COVID.
Yeah, I was going to say, can you really find something?
But I think what COVID did was, because it was just me, you know, and then all of a sudden COVID hit. I was already living the COVID life, right?
Yeah.
Just hermit in the house, focused on things like family and music, you know, things that matter to me. And then COVID hit, and now everybody else got on board. Yeah. And so I think what that did for me is just kind of opened me up to like, hey, it allowed me to be like, with people that I care about, to be like, it's going to be all right. I promise you this sucks, but there's good that comes out of it. Because just in a short year, you know, to be where I am right now, sharing music with the world, spending time with the people that truly matter, and just more focused and purpose-driven than ever. Like, COVID enhanced that for me, and I think it's doing that for a lot of people too. People have had to become creative on how they make money, right?
Yeah.
And how they're gonna carve out their space in the world. But I mean, if I could say like one thing that COVID really did, it just really reminded me of how important it is that in whatever space that people choose to carve out in their own perspective, individual worlds, that it's more important than ever. Like, we seriously cannot afford not to, but it's more important than ever to put good into the world, right? Because it's initially, right, you know, COVID hit and a lot of people, including myself, we reacted. Oh shit, you know, like, what are we gonna do? And then you kind of calm down a little bit, and then you start to go, okay, what do I do? And I think, you know, I know that there's a lot of people, and I got some friends and I got family members that have just been super overwhelmed. And I know it's really easy to get depressed and really easy to feel hopeless in times like these, and know it's okay to feel bad and be like, man, this sucks. Like we don't want to be naive to that, right? Because we want to be realistic, but at the same time, it's like each and every one of us have something to offer. And so it's like, I just feel like for me, COVID really like put into perspective on how important it is right now to continue to put good into the world, however you do it. If you're a student, if you're a teacher, if you're a podcaster, if you're a musician, if you're a friend, a son, a daughter, etc. You know, like it is so important to just keep putting good into the world. So yeah, I'm grateful for COVID.
That's positively James. And you know what? Rachel says she disagrees. She says your backspin is still tight.
Ah, that's my girl. That's my girl.
Too bad there wasn't space. I'm not even going to make you do it.
Let me tell you. What do you say? I'm sorry.
I'm not even going to make you do it though, because I'm like, oh, you should clear space. But no, you're healing from a broken leg and you're old. So
yeah, I mean, I could probably, that'd be tough to kind of move. Yeah. So you know what? I'll send it to you.
There you go. Have like your daughter's friend or somebody go, okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, go. TikTok that. TikTok that. I don't TikTok. Do you TikTok?
Right. You
I don't TikTok.
Have an account. I don't.
Do you?
I've had a lot of friends tell me to do it because I gotta, because I'm a dork. Most of the time, if you know me, I'm always joking around. Wherever I can find humor or keep it light.
That works for you.
That's how I roll. So maybe I'm thinking I need to get it. Get on board there. We'll see, man. It's too much. I could barely keep up with Facebook and IG and Snap.
I tried Snap. You know what? I tried Snap for a minute, and by a minute, I think 2 years. 2 or 3 years. And honestly, the only thing I ever got into was just the emojis. I didn't follow other accounts. I didn't look at other stuff. And then I finally got rid of it, other than, I finally got rid of it. I just don't use it anymore. And so I don't see myself being able to do the TikTok. That it's very time engaging. Remember what I told you how I did it with the Reface app?
Yeah.
To me, that's almost the same thing. If you really want to get what you can get out of it, I don't have the time. And I don't think anyone would pick up on what I'm throwing down. That's not my wheelhouse. Podcasting is my wheelhouse.
Have one fan, I'd be up on there.
Oh, you're so sweet. Well,
real quick.
Podcasting is my thing. TikTok is not my thing. Snap wasn't even my thing, and I was told I had to snap. I'm like, whatever.
I love Snapchat. I think.
Do you?
Well, what it allows me to do is keep in touch with my kids, and I get to kind of see what's going on in their lives. Because it's Snapchat.
That's good.
Kids love Snapchat.
Well, that's fun because you can do the fun things back and forth. Like that makes sense. I don't have. My daughter does not do it.
Yeah. No,
so I had no reason. She's like, I was like in a relationship for a minute about 4 years ago or 3 years ago, and we would send those lovey-dovey, but that was it. And
via Snap?
Because you could do all those little emojis. But now once Reface came around, which I finally got rid of that app on but when you could be someone else like all day long, and that CGI in its own is scary as hell.
Yeah, that's
so scary. Like I would send the videos, and my friends would go, "Okay, that's a really cool video, but now I'm a little scared because you look a lot like." Okay, no, I'm scared.
Right.
I even did.
Oh, go ahead. Look like an old, older.
Oh,
like one that took me from like now to like 70,
that one.
75 plus.
Yeah,
that was quick. That came in and it went right.
And then it went. I think. Are you talking about Snapchat or Reface?
I think it might have been Reface.
Because Snapchat did the baby one, and Snapchat did if you were a girl, you could look like a guy. If you're a guy, you could look like a girl.
Yes.
And I did those. Those were kind of fun.
I did that a few times. It was funny when I did it. I looked just like Jada.
Really? Oh, how hilarious!
Like literally, just like.
Oh, that's funny. No, I think with like the last video, if I remember that I created of myself on Reface was Michael Jackson, because I had someone tell me that I should do a spin on the Bad album.
Yes.
Because I'm the Bad Filipino, and I did it. So I went in there and I created all these little things, and I did the Bad video, but it was my face. And James, I had no idea how much I actually look like Michael Jackson from that time period. Because I'm gonna share that video with you when we're done here, and you're gonna laugh, and then you're gonna go, "Whoa!" Because literally, you could almost not tell that it's me. Like, at what point does it stop being me and it starts being Michael, and vice versa? Kind of scary.
You mean the lines got blurred a little bit?
Just a little bit.
Yeah,
so then in wrapping this up, because you've already mentioned you're releasing some songs, you got an album. Maybe you'll tease us with a Christmas album. I don't know. What What do you see happening on the horizon for you as an artist going into 2021?
Great. I think, I don't have a full on like a vision of what it's gonna look like, to be straight up.
Okay.
One thing I know, when I was making music when I was, younger in my 20s, very ego driven, was really just about like, as much as I was having fun, looking back now, like I was very much like, I'm gonna blow up. Like, wait till I blow up, on that level. Where that's not what I'm about right now. I'm open to whatever happens, right? You don't ever want to close doors to possibilities, right? Because they're infinite. But honestly, like, all I wanted to do was, and I'm gonna steal this from Wayne Dyer, is not die with the music still inside. Like, I knew I had some more music in me, and I'm like, there's no way that I'm gonna leave this planet without leaving it all out there on the field. And so that's all I want to do, and just stepping out of my way and allowing to happen whatever happens. Opportunities come around, best believe I'm gonna seize them, But I just want to share good music. Like, that's my purpose. That's how I know I can put good into the world the best way that I can. Like, that's fun for me,
I dig that.
And,
I like that.
And then I'm always gonna make songs with a message. Doesn't mean that I don't listen to songs that have tight beats and maybe might be a little risque. Hip hop is a beautiful is beautiful in so many ways, and how it's evolved. But I'm always gonna have a message. That's just how I roll. So and yeah, just hoping. That's all I want. Just to get it out there, and whatever happens.
There it is. I love it. I'm looking forward to it now that I followed you on Spotify.
Yeah, thank you for that.
So thank you so much for being on the show. I really enjoyed this. I loved learning about you as a hip hop break dancer. That was amazing. And you're surviving and thriving from cancer. That was awesome.
Yes, thank you.
And so everyone follow James David. He is very avid on his Instagram. This is true because I follow him there, and Facebook. Because he's going to be dropping some jewels.
Yes. Next month about
All right. Nice. All right, then. This is Myki Angeline signing off for the Bad Filipino and wishing everyone a great rest of your day.
Thank you.